So the layout for this evening is I have some questions that I'm going to put to Jason. And then if we have time after, hopefully we'll still have some time after, we'll open the floor up to questions for yourself. So the theme of the evening is the entertainment industry meets the metaverse. And I would like to very much welcome Jason on. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Paula. And I just have to warn everyone that's in your room, I'm kidnapping Paula. She is being abducted into the metaverse, what we call the Xavatar. And I am so pleased to have connected with you and David and Simon. It's an incredible thing that you guys do. And I'm honored to be here with you guys tonight. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Jason, I'm going to get stuck straight in because we do only have about an hour to kind of get through everything. Sometimes we go over a little, but we try and stick to our times for everybody. So I'm going to get straight into the interview, okay? So I'm going to start with, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, a quick introduction and a background?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jason Rothberg. I'm the CEO and founder of Xavatar. As Paula said, I have over 30 years experience in the entertainment field. I was a label executive for Sony Epic, IRS EMI, Priority Records, a couple of independent labels as well, including partners with David Lynch and the David Lynch Foundation, running their record label and music department. I've managed artists such as Joe Strummer from The Clash, Andy Summers from The Police, Donovan, John Ford Coley, The Specials, The English Beats, and a few others, and have produced and music supervised on a handful of movies, starting with my first movie with Joe Esterhaus on Burn Hollywood Burn was my first attempt at music supervising and executive producer of music. Most recently, Fairy Tale, a film we filmed in Ireland and New York with Colin O'Donoghue, who is will come into the story later on. And yeah, an overall nice guy.
Very impressive background, extremely impressive background. So you seem to have an awful lot going on. So you have this avatar, okay, which everybody can see, and we're going to speak about that in a minute. And then there is a show that you do, the Sync show, and then there's the metaverse, and then there's NFTs.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and get through all of this and the story of all of this evening, okay? So looking at the avatar, oh, look, I moved.
Sounds like a party in here.
Yeah, I just mute some. Thanks. Okay, so let's look at the avatar side first, okay?
Okay.
So how and why did you come up with the idea for these avatars? What's the story behind the avatar?
All right, get your violins out because this is the emotional part. The reason why I chose to work behind the camera, behind the artist, is I suffer from some mental health issues, and I find it very difficult to be in front of a lens. So doing things like a Zoom is crippling for me, and I find that I cannot be myself. I can't express my ideas. I'm too focused on looking at myself, which if you saw me and you looked at my hair, I don't even look in the mirror, it's just not something I'm interested in doing. So being a filmmaker and a music executive, I've been invited to do a plethora of webinars and panels, which they pay very nicely for and could be, it is a great revenue source for some people, but notoriously I need to turn this down because of the reasons I explained. Last summer, I was invited to participate at Cannes Film Festival on a panel with some really big producers and directors that I have man crushes on and wanted to be in their universe. And I had to figure out a way to participate and do it in a strong, passionate way where they could get my personality more than what focusing on what I look like. So, and that's not to say it's not like I have birth defects or burns, there's people who suffer from much more serious things than I do. It's just something in my head that I just don't like to look at myself. So over the course of the last few years, I've been developing an animated film with my two partners, and we took that film in, doing augmented reality and some, very kind of metaverse-y type productions even before we really even knew what the metaverse was. So I pulled the guys aside. I'm like, look, we need to create a real-time reactionary avatar so I can participate in Cannes. And in 4 weeks, my partner, Gianfranco Bianchi, came up with a working prototype, and I was able to participate, and it was great. I was able to joke and comment and, be who I am. And it was just a lot of fun. At the same time, we hijacked this 50-minute panel that was supposed to be about filmmaking because everybody on the panel wanted to talk about my avatar. And then there was about 500 people in the audience, and my Instagram just blew up with, a couple of hundred DMs asking how people could buy. And so I realized, and even looking on the screen today, I see a lot of people with just their names or a picture up. And it's because for one reason or another, they don't want to be on camera, whether it's because, a lot of my female colleagues, they don't want to do their hair and their makeup, a lighting, set design, dressing. Us guys, it's a little bit easier, but still, we, look how cool David looks. He's lit perfectly. His backdrop looks cool. It's like, and then Simon, he's fuzzed out his background. He doesn't want you to see that. So we've come up with a solution for whatever you are, you would be able to use one of these things as an immediate icebreaker. And trust me, you show up into a Zoom with one of these things and everybody goes crazy, or they'll hate you. Like I find, my friends my age, a little bit older, have a funny reaction to it at first because they're not used to it. But the younger generations who have just been gaming and, dealing with, this type of characters in their own world gravitate to it immediately, and it becomes a lot of fun. And I see my partner Kevin is here with us, so like if he was his avatar, we have a lot of fun where we actually make fun of humans. So it's a lot of fun, and something that I think everybody would want to participate and enjoy.
Good stuff. So this avatar, this is going to be a standalone app, yeah?
That's correct. Yeah, we're creating. There's Kevin in his glory. Hi, Kev. See, and I get very jealous of him because you could see his movements are much more fluid. And what timing for him to appear, because the app that will be launched in beta version this fall will be a free app. So the entry is you get your free app, which AI enables us to make yourself look like, and we go with a very comic book 1970s kind of art look, but you'll have options. You could be a Disney princess, you could be a manga character, there'll be all kinds of variations of the Xavatar that you'll be able to pick if you become like a tier 2, which I am. And then tier 3, which Kevin is, gives you much more animation. And if Kev's hair was a little longer, you would see his hair movement when his head moves. And
I have long flowing hair in real life.
But we're not talking about your armpits tonight, Kev.
I thought you were talking about my chest hair. Sorry.
Oh, my Burt Reynolds. See, as you can see, we are the best of friends. He is my brother. He's a creative genius. And, I bring an idea to the table and he takes it up 10 notches. He'll bring an idea and I'll do the same. So it's a lot of fun when you have these type of relationships. So yeah, the app will launch in the fall, beta style. And the first ones that will be able to get their Xavatar, which actually our Xavatars are customizable, universally native, meaning you can enter into any metaverse, not just the metaverse we're creating, NFT embedded. So every Xavatar will be NFT embedded so that it is like your social security. Nobody will be able to be you. And that all plays into the the rules and regulations, the policing of our Xavatar, of our Zataverse, to protect people from racist behavior, bullying, pedophilia kind of attitudes. And we can get into that when we talk about the metaverse.
So staying with the app then for a minute, what technology is behind this? You started to get into that there a little bit. You mentioned AI and stuff like that. So what way will this app work then?
So yes, so we use AI, ML, facial and audio recognition. The AI works on several different levels. So as I was saying, that the AI and facial mapping is how we create your Xavatar. Then the AI learns your movements, your gestures as you're speaking. So for, somebody who's, more animated when they speak, the AI will learn that. So as you, Paula, you are held captive in front of your camera right now. You can't go out, you can't open the door for your dog, you can't, scratch your knee, you got to be focused on your camera. But here, when my AI kicks in, I could walk around, I could have food, have a cigarette break, whatever it is. And the opposite side would never know I wasn't paying full attention, sat there riveted on every word that they're saying. So that is some of the aspects of the AI. But like I was alluding to earlier, and one of the most important elements I would say for Kevin and myself is this policing of the Zataverse. We want to make sure that we create a safe zone. So there will be key phrases, words, things that the AI will know, and of course learn as our Zataverse brings in more and more. So if you do something that's naughty, you will be bubbled. There'll be a silent mode, so you'll still be in the Zataverse, but you will not be able to game, you won't be able to network, you won't be able to communicate, and people will know that you're bubbled. Also, because of the AI and facial recognition, we'll be able to determine the age range. So if I am a 51-year-old man and I reach out to a 12-year-old girl, that 12-year-old girl will be notified that, I am an older man, and you should be aware that this person, if you don't know, is older. So that younger person can decide if they want you in their world or not. And if something weird happens, immediately they can eject you. And if you are ejected or bubbled 3 times, then you're booted from the Zataverse.
Pretty impressive. And these sort of security features are much needed in the metaverse. They're definitely much needed. They're needed in Web 2 situations as well, and hard to police and hard to implement. So it's great to see he's working on something like that. So with that sort of technology behind you then, and this is still just looking at kind of the NFTs and that, have you secured any interest in the technology or any partnerships that you can tell us about?
Well, it's very exciting, actually. You kind of feel like the pretty girl at the dance, We've been accepted into Excelsior AI, which is part of Trinity College, an accelerator program that is hosted by an AI company called Eltada. And we are building very strong ties with this company that's based out of Cork. In fact, my partner, Kevin, was invited and just spoke at their symposium last week that was hosted in Miami. And the founders of that company are very brilliant and very sweet people. They are expanding exponentially, even though their AI is focused in the financial world and data. They're very excited to get into entertainment, which is something that we bring and we'll talk about later. But at the same time, my cousin is an expert in robotics, and very recently started connecting us with some of the big AI companies out there. So even this morning, I had a Zoom with an AI company, and I'd prefer not to say which at this point. You almost forget when you are, and I'm going to use the word probably immersive quite a lot into this conversation, but when you're immersed in something, you sometimes can't see the forest beyond the tree, and you don't appreciate what you're doing. And actually speaking to people like yourself, Paula, people who understand the metaverse, that understand blockchain, they get where we're going instantly, where the entertainment industry are trying to catch up and learn. So it's a much more agonizing process when I'm talking to my friends and peers at the labels and studios. But like today with this, I mean, he basically, you know, he says they're eye deep in the metaverse, and yet he's never seen something so expansive and exciting as what we're doing, which to me was the ultimate compliment.
Excellent. That is a brilliant compliment. So you touched there on entertainment, and we're going to move into that on the second leg of this whole operation that you are building. And the second leg, should I say, is the sync report. Okay, so the sync report is currently something that you are hosting on Clubhouse, and we'll just focus on the Clubhouse side of it for the moment. So can you tell us a little about this, a little bit about what this show is all about and when it's ran and how you run it?
Sure. So I told you about the movie Fairy Tale. So the producer of that film during the pandemic reached out to me. He's like, "Are you bored?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm bored." He's like, "Get on Clubhouse." I'm like, "Clubhouse? That's an odd name. All right, let's check it out." So I go into Clubhouse, and at first I get really excited about the platform, thinking that there's all these rooms with experts. And unfortunately, you can't see my Xavatar giving air quotes, but that full body movement will come soon. And I was really let down. In fact, I was angered because I was going into rooms, especially for like young filmmakers, because this is where I'm focused, is within the independent film world, and trying to figure out why independent filmmakers were having trouble getting the level of music to what they were producing. The films were great, the music made it impossible to watch. So what I decided, so I was going in these rooms, and there was these guys saying, "Oh, you give us 100,000 and we will give you, we'll raise 5 million for you. We'll get you a Netflix approved director. We'll, you know, it's kind of like a pay to play kind of thing," which I absolutely, you know, in this industry is a no-no. It's just not okay. No artist should be paying unless that, you know, unless they're given, you know, unless like a sync agency is actually, see, you couldn't tell. My dog just wanted on the bed. I had to get off the bed to lift the dog. You couldn't tell I left the talk. So, you know, you should never have to pay, you know, for people to give you advice of that level. So what I did was create this room where I would bring together filmmakers that were looking for music but didn't have the budgets, and songwriters that were looking to get into the sync world but didn't have credits or representation. I removed the need for a music supervisor. I removed the aggravation of dealing with the labels and the publishers. And together, these, you know, both sides could connect and achieve their common goals. So, and then, you know, it started to grow and people started to really participate. And I figured, you know what, you know, because I'm into, you know, theatrics, I'm a bit dramatic, as is my partner. And that's why we get along so well. So I had to create a format. So we brought in luminaries from the industry, famous musicians, actors, directors, producers. And so we would start the room with a bit of an interview and then go into what we call the sync sessions, where the public would submit their music and I would create a panel of experts that would weigh in and give advice and critique. And the songs that kind of rose to the top, we then connected them with the directors. And we've had I think close to 24 syncs through the room so far. In fact, one of them is so exciting. One is a musician based in Cary that connected with a filmmaker who's based in Atlanta. he had never scored a film before, but somehow the director gave him the shot. And now this film is at the film festival stage and winning awards. It's just, you know, for me, that's payment enough. You know, it's like my fellow music supervisors don't really like what I'm doing. You know, they think that I'm taking away business from them. But the reality is these filmmakers could never afford to hire us for their films. So all I'm doing is building relationships and waiting for these filmmakers to get funded by a studio. And who's the first guy they're going to call? Me. You know, it's like, you know, I think it's a very savvy way of building relationships and building trust. So as we're perfecting the show, and then Kevin came in to join, because of course he's an award-winning filmmaker, as well as a marketing expert. So he started to be on the panel, and I brought in my friend Milfredo7, DJ from EMF, a very famous band from the 90s, and he's a brilliant studio head producer. And so he was between the two of them, they were able to get some really wonderful advice. And then we've had like people like Tony Montana from Great White, and Bernard Fowler from the Rolling Stones, and a list of wonderful artists, you know, to come in as guest hosts. And then we were contacted by a podcast company and said, hey, man, what you're doing is really cool. It's turned into a podcast. And so what we did at that point is divide the show. So Sundays, we do the listening sessions. And on Thursdays, we host our conversations with the luminaries on a platform called Clean Feed, which allows us to record in high def and separated tracks, which at the moment Clubhouse doesn't do, but we have a solution that we'll share with you about Clubhouse too. And then we brought in Rose Ganguza into the room as one of our luminaries. Rose is the godmother of independent film. You have definitely seen her movies. She's the best at what she does. And by the time we were done with her conversation, she's like, Jason, I want to join the team. I was like, great, welcome aboard. You know, there's no pay. And she's like, no, it's fine, because we're going to turn this into a TV show. And right away, my gut was like, no, we are not. I am not being in front of a camera. It's the worst idea ever. And I didn't talk to her for like a week because I was scared to say no. And then it was like that light bulb moment. And I called up Kev and I'm like, Kev, what if the sync report was animated? What if we used our technology, use the celebrities coming through the room, make Xavatars for them, let it be the marketing arm for what we're doing? And then it just kind of went nuclear from there.
That's kind of the bigger picture that I was going to get onto now, where the sync report is actually going. So at the moment, it's kind of this Clubhouse show and it's the podcast, but you're going to turn it into this interactive show that's hosted in the metaverse, but it's going to be streamed on television, right? That's the aim.
So, you know what I said, I bring an idea to the table and then my partner elevates it by 10. So he is a futurist. He truly is. He sees around corners, and 90% of the time I'm like, Kev, I can't absorb it, you know, panel that, put it on the back burner. But he kept saying metaverse, metaverse, metaverse. And then it was like that, again, an aha moment where his words finally sunk in. And I was like, Kev, what if we allowed the audience to come into our environments and participate in the show? And then we were off to the races, because I had a friend of mine introduced us to a company called Planet X Studios, who are, they're the premier virtual environment production company in America. And I mean, they've just done massive things and, you know, huge success. And so we brought them on board because they deal with Unreal Engine. So our technology and Unreal Engine work seamlessly together. And as we create the animation and the environments, it's easy for us to turn it into metaverse. So yeah, if you become a Xavatar, You can participate in the show. You can explore the space station, which you can see behind me is based in outer space. You can go into the different levels, go into the cinema, and it'd be a virtual Netflix type setup, watch films. You could go into the music store, buy music, buy concert tickets, buy merchandise. All of a sudden I have a Foo Fighters t-shirt on, I got an Isle of Wight poster backdrop behind me. There's all kinds of retail experiences, but then there's also the gaming. So, you'd be able to buy an NFT of one of the spaceships, go out and play. If any of you were alive in the 80s, a game called Asteroids. So you can go and play Asteroids. You can battle each other. There's also ways of connecting. We're creating what we call our version of the Love Boat, where it would be like what we do on cruises now, bringing in, again, some of my friends, 311, Ziggy Marley, Slightly Stupid, bands like this that would be performing, and then you would be able to network and meet people on the boat, and all kinds of wonderful gaming and social networking opportunities. And then, of course, every time we interview a luminary, they tell us about their memories. So we're able to animate those memories, bring them back to life. So, for example, we had Steve Vai, who is an iconic guitar player, musician, and he was telling us about his studio. So we have created the Steve Vai virtual studio, where you would buy, and he has created, along with Ibanez, his guitar company, he's created over 30 different guitars. So we will create the NFT version of those. So you can buy one of those guitars, plug into the studio, then all of a sudden someone you don't know picks up the bass, another person gets on the drums, somebody else gets on the mic, and you're recording in real time, making music that you then can walk away with a wave file of the music that you just recorded in Steve Vai's studio. And the same thing for Reeve Carney, who has just starred in The House of Gucci. He was the star of Spider-Man on Broadway. He's about to be in, he's a massive young star that we love. And he talks about growing up in New York. So you can walk down a New York street, do some window shopping, and all kinds of, crazy New York adventures happen there. So yeah, it's kind of endless, just down to our creative, and because we're mental, the creative is endless.
Totally endless. I love mentalness as well. It's the only way forward. So it is.
It's the only way to have a laugh, especially these days. It's between the pandemic and and again, we talk about policing the metaverse. I'm mortified by what's happening on social media. Forget talking about the fake news, because that's a hotspot. But I think we can all agree racist behavior, bullying, and pedophilia is not okay. And why that's not being stopped, why nobody is doing anything to prevent and protect on these, platforms that they're creating. On one level, I look up to Mark Zuckerberg. On another level, I despise him. And I don't like anything of the decisions he's making on behalf of the millions of people he represents. He's taking no responsibility. And it'll be interesting to see what Elon Musk does now with Twitter. I am an advocate for freedom of speech, but I am not an advocate of taking away somebody's human rights. So it's a fine line to walk, but somebody has to draw the line in the sand. And if we have to be those guys, then so be it.
I think it gives you an extremely unique selling point. It definitely does, especially in the blockchain space, where things can be quite hard to police, and that if they're built in a protocol level from the start, it makes things an awful lot easier, and you have that technology there and ready to go. Just back to the sync report again for a second, and the fact that you're going to be doing this show that's going to be in the metaverse, and you're going to have some fairly well-known names on. I know you've had Charlotte Church and that on your podcast and stuff like that. But this is also going to be streamed on telly, right? That's the hope.
Well, not streamed, but actual terrestrial television.
Yeah,
So,
normal
correct.
television. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we're currently in talks with one of the major networks that broadcast on both sides of the pond, as well as one of the three major media companies in the music side. So yeah, some really big things are in the works that hopefully we can announce in the next 45 to 60 days.
Excellent. Okay, then we spoke a lot there about the metaverse as well. So we're gonna touch on that now. So we are.
Paula, can I just somebody asked, what do I mean about taking away somebody's human rights? Can I respond to that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So human rights, in fact, if you're not aware, Eleanor Roosevelt created a document called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And it's a document not many of us know about, but it's something we should all know about. It's your rights. And human rights are on many levels. So freedom of speech is a human right. You know, we have the right to speak our mind. We have the right to believe in any religion, any philosophy. We have the right. These are all our rights. So when I'm talking about protecting human rights, it's not just about what we are taught in school, what human rights, it goes way, way beyond that. So it's a very fine balance when we talk about, especially freedom of speech. This is an innate human right that we all should be able to embrace. And at the same time, we have to understand the difference between hate speech and debate. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but that's my short response to that question.
I think it's something that we could talk about for hours. Censorship.
Don't get me started.
But it is a whole different conversation. But it fits nicely with the decentralized community. It fits very nicely with the decentralized community. And so back to the metaverse. Have you got any artwork you can show us? I know that you've got a lot of the artwork already done.
Would you like to see?
Screen?
Want to see a teaser of the show?
Yes, please.
Simon,
can you give permission to share? I'm only co-host. I can't do it this evening. Yeah, it'd be great. Now, Kevin, I'm going to hop you on in a second as well to introduce yourself. I know that'll be. I hope I'm not taking you by surprise too much.
He's always ready.
It's all good.
Good stuff.
I'm always on, especially if I have my Xavatar.
Good on you. Good on you. You should be good to share there now.
Okay, great. I thought I had this all prepared. Let's see. There we go. Uh-oh, I have a loading problem. It says 1 second. Let me just reboot this. How do I do this?
TSR-1, you are clear for landing. You're coming in hot again, Twiggy. Pull up, Twiggy! Pull up!
Welcome to Xavatar, Colin, the greatest space studio in the galaxy, and of course, the home of the Sync Report.
Thanks, Kevin. I've been looking forward to this. Thanks to the ride, Jason. Your robot got me here. But I'll tell you, it wasn't easy. It was a rough one for sure.
Hey, let me tell you, Twiggy likes it rough, Colin.
Bitty, 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 like a northern lad. Right, Alfredo?
What? More like a chimney sweep.
Welcome to the Sync Report, where we talk with some of the top people in the film, music, and entertainment industries.
Like my co-host here, film and TV star Colin O'Donoghue, the godmother of indie film, Rose Ganguza, and our unbelievable DJ, Milfredo7 from the group EMF.
Thanks, Jace, but you're no slouch yourself.
No slouch at all, Rose, seen as you're a former Sony Epic executive and a music supervisor.
So I'm aware of our time, so I'm going to skip ahead. So, and it's not that long, but, here we bring in Reeve Carney to give you an
Showtime
example.
Series Penny Dreadful as Dorian Gray. He was Peter Parker on Broadway in the Spider-Man After Dark, and he opened with his band for U2 and is slated to play Jeff Buckley in an upcoming biopic about his life.
And in the second, so you can see we're using multimedia within the animation. So you'll see the big screen, which will project real like films and TV shows. We're using holograms, which you'll see later on in like the sync, so here is we're still improving and working on some of this stuff, but this is like the sync section. There you have Kevin, who's on the panel, and this is actually Ronald Dillard and Derek Core, the story I was telling you about the musician from Carrie that scored the film. So I'll share a link so people can actually see the full teaser if they'd like to.
Excellent. Well, I see Kevin was on there. Kevin, do you want to introduce yourself and say hello and tell everybody where you're from, first of all, and your involvement in all of this?
Right. Hi. Yep. So thanks for having this forum. I think it's amazing. My name is Kevin Sharpley. As everyone has previously said, I'm the COO of Xavatar and a co-founder. So what Jason said is true. We all kind of bring our own kind of areas into this. And so I also run a company that's a multimedia company, and we've been working in VR and AR, NFTs and these things for many, many years. And so I've been kind of dabbling into what the metaverse is going to be for the last couple of years. And so what Jason said is true too. When we first started talking to people about what we're doing, they really were confused and had no idea. So regular people, that is, until Facebook then came out with Meta, and then other companies then followed suit. And there's been more conversation about the metaverse. Now, we like to call our metaverse the Xataverse because it's more immersive and it's more inclusive. It's not just, situated for people to interface with it with a VR headset. So people will be able to interact with our Xataverse with their regular computers on screen, some more Web 2.5. And even Web 2.0, you'll be able to use your arrow keys. You'll be able to use your phone. You'll be able to use your tablet. And then we also have AR experiences, augmented reality experiences. So it really is this kind of experiential cross-platform environment that people will be able to participate in. With the Sync Report, for example, because we're dealing with musicians, as the musicians start to place their music and we have more involvement with them, we're even going to have a concert tour. So people will be able to interact with us in the real world, in real time, and have real world experiences. It's all about immersive, experiential media. So
100% agree. And most people here that know me know I'm not a huge fan of the metaverse as it's currently being portrayed as, these Decentraland type places that are like Second Life that we had 15 years ago. But the more immersive experience where you're mixing reality with virtual world is more my vision of it as well. So right. I definitely get what you're saying there. So you're part of the team as well. And then who's involved then in the artwork? Because I have to say the artwork is pretty cool on the clip that you've shown us and the other bits and pieces that I've seen myself. So who's involved in the artwork there?
Yeah, so that's our partner, Gianfranco Bianchi. So I think Jason mentioned a project that we have called the Beach Chronicles. So that's where we actually met. And this had to be about 10 years ago. That project is a multimedia project. It didn't have a metaverse component because there was no such thing, but it certainly has a VR and an AR component. It started first as a novel that I wrote, and then we did an animated version that has Daryl Hannah, Michael Chiklis, and Tommy Flanagan, and a bunch of celebrities and stuff like that. And so that went to festivals. We then did a serialized radio version, so like radio theater. Jason was working with the David Lynch Foundation, David Lynch being one of my favorite directors, and they started an online radio network. So we had a version that was on that online radio network, about 6 episodes. And then when we decided to do the comic book, we took that serialized version, the sound from that, and we made it the actual comic so you can listen as you read. Now, where the AR and VR comes in is we were asked to do a VR version of the project. And so if you know anything about working in 3D, you know that you're able to take the assets, because they're all kind of, these 3D assets, and utilize them, wherever you want to put them. So we were able to take the 3D assets from the film and turn that into VR. So you put on the VR headset and you're in the middle of the street with Daryl Hannah in a battle. So you can look all around and, see all the bodies, bouncing off all over the place and people being sliced and diced and that. So we made the VR version. And then what we decided to do for the comic book is to embed AR into the comic book experience. So you can take your cell phone, you go to the app, and then you go to a specific point, a place in the app, and you point it at the comic book, and then you're able to see different three-dimensional things like, the motorcycle that the main character rides, or character cards and characters and those things. So because we were already working on that project, and then we also have a game. We also have a game that's a part of it, but all the assets are similar, from gaming to VR to AR, because they're, just 3D assets. You're able to take those assets and, kind of move them in different places and utilize them for different mediums. So when Jason was talking about our space station, which we had to build it anyway for the animated version, because we're working with Planet X in Unreal Engine, we were able to take a lot of the assets and import that into Unreal Engine. And in Unreal Engine, then there's a couple of, companies they're like, drivers for these things.
Yeah.
We were able to take a lot of those assets and create assets that then, we're able to utilize for our metaverse. And so the concept, really the broader concept, is connectivity, and how can you connect people in a fully immersive and expansive way. And that is, like I mentioned, across different platforms and different mediums. Jason, talked about being able to connect with people in many different ways, even on the metaverse space. But, in a tactile way, you'll be able to actually watch the show. So that'll be on, terrestrial television, so people can get together and talk about these moments. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll have a concert tour, so people will be able to come out and, talk to the musicians and the celebrities and that. So
that's so cool. That's also cool. I'm gonna quickly keep moving on with the questions. I'd love to get into all of that a little bit more, but as you know, we are kind of short on the time. So I'm going to bring things now to NFTs. So we've talked about these avatars, or Xavatars as you call them, and this app that will be available in fall. We've talked about the sync show, both the Clubhouse and the TV show as such, but there's also going to be NFTs. Okay, so there's going to be NFTs to the sync report. So my understanding is that you're going to be minting these based on the guests that you have on the show, right? So can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of buying and holding these NFTs? What value are they to people? What do you get except for an animated picture?
So we're really, again, because we're, creators, content creators, we're having a lot of fun with our NFTs. So first off, the visuals, in my mind, they're like 30-second films where we're adding humor and drama and action and every celebrity that comes through the room will have their own NFT that reflects their personality. So the first one we're going to launch is for Colin O'Donoghue, and there's 3 different tiers. So depending on which tier you purchase, it gives you different benefits. So the top tier, where you obviously you get your Xavatar, you get a chance to not only sit in the audience but actually ask a guest question, so you'll appear on the TV show. And then we're bringing it into real life as well. We're planning a live event in September, which will happen in Dublin, and would be a concert with Patty Casey, Stephanie Rainey, Colin O'Donoghue is going to MC and guest perform. And then there's other special guests. And then there'll be an after party, which Milfredo will DJ. And then the next day, we've hired out a very posh cinema, a private cinema, where we will premiere the pilot episode of the Sync Report.
Okay, so the top tier will get you access to them.
Well, not only that, but you'll have flights, hotels, ground transportation. There's a private dinner that you'll participate in. So there's a range of things that, really, help enhance that experience.
And what would the lower tier get you?
Kev, you answer that.
Yeah.
I'm spacing.
Yeah. Okay. So I can tell you, for me, I already have a Xavatar, so I'm okay.
Nanny.
But I did see mentioned in the chat, how do I get a Xavatar? So what's exciting is first people to get these NFTs will be the first people to get Xavatars, for example, and they'll have the first opportunities to enter into our alpha. So our alpha testing for our Xavatarverse, and then moving into our beta testing. So that in and of itself is, very, very, very exciting. But what also comes with, we'll talk about the first tier. What also comes with the first tier is, people will be able to traverse the space station and go into different areas of the space station before anyone else. And they'll be able to interact with us before anyone else is able to interact with us. Now it'll be the alpha, so it may not be perfect, but we're really looking forward to meeting people in our metaverse. We've already had a couple of test runs. We had one when we did the meeting that we just had with the big company that Jason mentioned. But we really want to interface with other people and have them interface with our environment.
If I knew you were doing test runs, I would have asked you to invite us all there this evening to do it, and I would have invited everybody there to do it. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Yeah, that's right. We're not sure if we're ready to bring in, I don't know, there's 40, 50 people here.
There's about 30 here at the moment, so there is, yeah.
Yeah, we might be able to handle that.
Well, when you're ready, do let us know, because I know loads of the faces here are smiling as I said that they'd all love to jump in. So we feel
this is the fun part
for a test run.
Yeah, this is the fun part, because the first people that we're interacting with are the people that we want to give the first opportunities. Deadly. So that's great, Paula.
Deadly. Well, look, the first NFT drop is going to be of Colin O'Donoghue. He's an Irish actor. Is there any chance we can have a sneak peek of the artwork of the NFT?
Jason, do you have that available? Now, just to let everyone know, because it's Zoom, unfortunately, a lot of the video ends up being choppy. So you saw that with the first video. So just to let you know.
That's okay.
So, yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that? Well, I guess you expect more from my trading card, do you? Like animation? What more do you want from an NFT? How about a costume change and some music? Oh, you probably won't be satisfied unless I dance for you. Well. Come here and enjoy.
So the fun part about this is that music that you heard was temp music. So we've actually opened up the music placement to our community, our
That was going
songwriters.
to be my next question. Did you source that from the same club?
Yeah, so no, that was temp, but so we're looking for 3 songs for the 3 different tiers. The first tier will be organic. So whatever song that is, that'll be the music. The second tier gets a remix from Milfredo 7. And then the third tier gets a remix from Danny Saber, who is an icon in the industry. He's worked with everybody from the Rolling Stones to Marilyn Manson,
Madonna.
I mean, you name it, he's worked with them. So it's an incredible opportunity for the songwriters to connect. And then, of course, it's a paid opportunity where, 10% off the top goes to charity. 5%, Kevin has brought in the Climate Institute, which is the oldest organization, nonprofit organization dealing with climate change. And so that helps to offset the carbon footprint. And then the other 5% is chosen by the celebrity that the NFT is picked by. Then the next 10% is given to the music. And then the remaining is split between the company and the talent.
That's deadly. Okay, last question before I open it up to the floor for questions. How excited about this project is the film, music, and entertainment industry?
Well, I mean, the full stop about the metaverse and NFTs. They are throwing crazy money at it, yet they hardly understand it. But they know that this is a game changer for content creators. But yeah, when we present what we're doing, you can see them because, everybody in LA is, a card player. They're trying to, keep their, smile a frown because they don't want you to know how excited, but, they just all get so engrossed and excited about it. In fact, to the point where we've just brought in Kevin's favorite director and producer, Dan Sackheim, who you would know from everything from Miami Vice all the way through to Game of Thrones and Ozark and What About Saul and House. And I mean, he's just been involved with
Lovecraft Country. He was nominated for an Emmy for Ozark, for example. So, he's done a little bit of everything. But I can tell you, so the metaverse industry, this is just metaverse alone. It's thought to, by 2024, be an over $800 billion industry. So by 2030, an over $3 trillion industry. And if you look at companies like, for example, Disney, they just named a head of metaverse 2 months ago. So the writing is on the wall. And as I said before, when we were talking about metaverse before anyone really knew about metaverse, the conversation was challenging at best. But now when we talk about it, it's like wolves. We can see everyone, looking to bite into what we're doing. So, we really have a lot of excitement and buzz and traction, especially now.
I think everybody in this community knows what the metaverse is. We've some of us have taken journeys together in different spaces. Some of us have wandered around lonely like headless chickens, not knowing how to navigate the place.
That's what we're trying to push against, which is, that people don't just wander around aimlessly, but connectivity. That's what we're all about, is connectivity.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, I'm going to open up the floor for questions. It is 9 o'clock, so we're only going to take a handful of questions, unfortunately. The first person with their hand up is David. So feel free to throw your hands up and I'll come to you as quick as I can, really. David, do you want to jump in there with your question?
Yeah, back to the tier 3s, the NFTs. I'm curious about, let's use the example that you gave, the Stevie Vai example. So we're in Stevie Vai's studio. Obviously, we can't pick up his real guitar. It's an NFT of his guitar. But you said you were going to record the sounds and make a WAV of it. Does the sound card, your own sound card with your own, let's say, guitar or mics, is that picking up the audio to create the tune? or is that AI driven, or what way does that work?
So this is something I've just been focusing on and thinking about with the team, but it'll be similar to GarageBand, the app GarageBand. So it would be, that type of, interactive, you're not plugging in a guitar anywhere. You're using a computer generated platform to be able to, hit the notes and keys and chords that you want.
Gotcha.
And I did want to add something on about the Colin drop. So the third tier of the Colin drop.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember the exact amount of time, but for the third tier, the people that get that third tier, they'll be able to actually talk to Colin themselves. Did we say like a half an hour conversation, Jason? Is that? Do you remember the time
for the Zoom? No, I can't remember. But I'm sure it's something like that.
Right. So they'll be able to actually meet Colin. I mean, his fans are super excited. They're sending us messages like, "Will he have on those hot leather pants in the NFT?" we get a lot of those.
And Colin said no. Colin says he's going to show up in his Speedo. So who knows?
Deadly. Okay, who else would like to jump in there with a question?
Oh, come on, guys. Ask me a hard question.
I'm actually quite surprised. I think everybody is a little bit astounded and and I would say I would probably use the word in awe. I've been watching the facial expressions of people that did have their cameras on and that as we were going through it. And there was definitely moments of amazement and moments of light bulb and humor. I seen people laugh when you talked about the 80s and stuff, not that I'd remember back that far. So have we any questions? Because this is a really good opportunity to ask people that are in the film industry, the music industry, about the metaverse and about NFTs and stuff like that. So I'm sure somebody has to have an interesting question to finish up on.
And it could be any question. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly metaverse related.
So Simon has come in and asked here, how does the token sale tie into all of this? Is there a token on an exchange somewhere? No, there isn't a token. There's going to be, as in a coin token, there's going to be NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And I would describe them as fan tokens, Simon. Does that make sense? Okay then. Well, look, who's going to jump in there?
People are just joining right now. We're going to have to do another hour, I think, Paula.
Jason and Kevin, I get to participate in meetings.
Hi, Dr. Montgomery.
But I want to hear, what are you most excited about? And then what also has been like the biggest challenge as well?
Oh, wow. Most excited, I would have to say, is, watching people enter into the metaverse and explore what we're creating. But the thing that really gets me, Kevin's a writer and director and producer. He's done a lot of that, in his background. For me, this is the first time I'm writing for a TV show and actually get to see that come to life through the cast acting it out. So that has been like, Kevin has talked about radio theater, which he and I both are huge fans of. So, creating these scripts, recording the audio, doing the Foley and sound effects is something I thoroughly enjoying and just, can't wait to share that with, whatever the audience is. I think it's, 7 people that join us and listen in, but that for me. What do you think, Kev? What's most exciting for you?
From connectivity. So I talk about it over and over and over again. And, a lot of people are adverse to, let's just say VR, but we're not just VR. We're across many different platforms, but connecting in any kind of virtual way especially now that people are getting out and, it's kind of at the tail end of the pandemic and whatnot. But connectivity happens in many different ways. I mean, I'm here in Miami. Jason is over there in Ireland. Our other partners in Switzerland. There's no way that we can be together every day or, even once a week. But we're able to connect just about every day in one way or the other. Now, what the metaverse will allow for is a different type of connectivity. So it's easy to connect over the phone, and you can do a Zoom, but to be able to connect with someone kind of, in this 3D space, this is what this environment allows for. And so it's not just that connectivity, though. I mentioned the other ways, so live events. So being able to traverse every layer and every space, for me, is super important. I mean, look, you have people who can't get out of bed. And I had a moment, I have a really bad back problem. I had to get back surgery. But at a point, I was on a cane and I didn't want to leave the house. So for people who can't do those kinds of things, there's tremendous opportunities for those people. There's people, perhaps they want to see their therapist, but they can't leave the house, or they don't want to leave their house. They can meet them in a virtual space. That's another. I mean, there's so many endless possibilities for connectivity. I'm like Jason, I have social anxiety. And so, it really takes a lot for me to even leave the house. I have to, have had a good night's sleep and have eaten well. So in that case, it's really nice to then be able to connect and have a different type of immersion. But then to be able to immerse yourselves in the storytelling experience. I mean, just imagine, for anyone who remembers The Matrix or knows The Matrix. I mean, man, when you saw that first moment with Trinity where she ran up the wall and, got into the fight over there, could you imagine being able to be in the middle of that room and look around and actually see that happen? I mean, we're definitely bringing that. Jason mentioned the Beach Chronicles. We're already working on the Xavatar version of the Beach Chronicles. So, that's what I'm most excited about as a storyteller, being able to tell these stories in such an immersive way and many different types of ways to tell these stories, but also, allowing for people to connect in many different ways. So, yeah.
Guys, can I have a
Stacey,
quick
that was
question?
a great question, Stacey. Sorry, Simon. Just before we continue, Stacey, you're also part of the team. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself, if you don't mind me putting you on the spot?
Hi, I got involved because I love my brother, and I'm just excited to see how this has just continued to. It's like every week there's more exciting synergy. I do have my doctorate, and I've worked in higher education for the past 26 years, and I have the opportunity to recruit interns. So we have interns from Ireland and from Canada and from the US that are all part of this project. So getting to know them and to see their interest in how they're bringing their ideas and their dreams and their wanting to learn and get some exposure and opportunity to get some real experience has been really rewarding for me. So if anything, I'm just super proud of my brother. And as I get to know the team, it's like, yeah, it's really cool to see this, the talent and the just all the ways that the synergy just continues to morph. You'll have to check out the episodes on our podcast, and you'll definitely have to check out what we have going on in the future as well.
Yeah, I keep dropping the link in there to the website, and on the website you'll find a subscription button. So if you want to sign up for notifications about when the NFTs go live and stuff like that, do go on and sign up. There's some questions here and some hands up. So I'll go to the questions that came in first. Anna is asked, I'm curious about how the AI learns your body movements. Will the AI constantly be analyzing me, or will it go through a learning period?
Yeah. So we're still working out the details on that. But if anyone knows AI, you have to build a database of your movements. And so what we think we're going to do is a toggle on, toggle off. So you can toggle on and then allow for the machine learning to happen to capture. So, you know, if you know machine learning, it takes time. So we're trying to condense, typically it's like, you know, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, but we're trying to condense that time and space. And that's why we're excited about Altada, because they work in quantum. And so that really does help to crunch things faster. And so you toggle on, definitely you have to leave it on long enough to learn your gestures and movements. And then you toggle off. And if you're happy with the way that your Xavatar moves and maneuvers, then that's it, you know, because it's already built that database. If you're not, then you have to toggle it back on, give it more time. And then when you're happy with that movement, then you toggle it off and then you're good to go. If that answers your question.
I think it does, Anna. Yeah, she's nodding her head. Okay. The next question in then is for the NFT portion of the project, is there a roadmap or an FAQ we can review? Very excited for all of this. The roadmap and FAQ are on the way, aren't they?
Yeah. So that should be done by next week. By the end of next week, it'll be on the website.
So there is going to be a bit of a fast launch on the first lot of NFTs, just to let everybody know, the Colin NFTs, they'll be launching in the next couple of weeks, in the next 4 weeks. Probably, I think you guys are talking about in and around the week of Blockchain Ireland, yeah?
That's right. Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, so that's about 4 weeks. And we'll have inside information here to share with the community once Jason agrees and Kevin agrees to share information. You'll all be the first to know. I think this is probably the first crypto communities have come on to and talked to about the project, yeah?
It is, yeah. And that's what I was saying, you know, this is the exciting part. I mean, Jason and I have done many projects together, and he's done projects individually, I have. But the most exciting part is these beginning phases, because the people that you interact with in these beginning phases are the people then that you want to give all of the opportunities to as you grow. And so, you know, I have to thank everyone for letting us bend your ear about the project. But we certainly want to, maybe we'll come up with a code word, I don't know. But we want to come up with something that allows us to know that you all were some of the first people to know about the project. And then as the project grows and as we grow, we'd love to have everyone grow along with us. Because like I said, it's all about connectivity.
Excellent. Okay, Chris had his hands up next, and then Mark had his hand up. And then there's a question in as well from Simon, and then we'll have to call it, from Simon, then we'll call it quits after that. So Chris, do you want to jump in with your question?
Hello, guys.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm very excited about the project. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. And there's something I want to understand about the way you describe your metaverse. So is this, your definition of metaverse, is it like standalone sceneries whereby people interact with different spaces that are not necessarily connected to each other, or is it like an open world like what we have with the Decentraland and Sandbox, but with different scenes embedded in them that you can easily walk within that world from one space to another?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are decentralized and centralized. So you'll be able to have many different experiences. So for example, you know, the Sync Report and the space station and our version of the Earth, we call it our Xavatar, and that galaxy, that's the main portal for people to be able to come in and interact. And so we will have our version of the Earth that there is a decentralized version, so people will be able to buy real estate and those kind of things, but we will have experiences, and we will already have embedded within that particular part of the Xavatar different ways for people to interact. So I'll give you an example. We're building an experience with the Climate Institute where, you know, people will be able to go and dive with the coral reefs. They'll be able to go to Antarctica and see how the polar bears, the climate change is affecting them. They'll be able to go and see the migratory patterns of birds and the migratory patterns of whales and see how that affects them. And then they can donate to the Climate Institute and to different organizations. So as people donate, then our Zataverse then changes in accordance to that. And for example, we'll see the environments of the polar bears start to change and become better over time. You'll see the coral reef start to become better over time as people start to interact with our environments. That's an example. So we will have experiences that are decentralized, that people can interact with and change their environments and build on. But we'll also have other interactive experiences. Another example is Haiti. People will be able to go to the Citadel in Haiti and then go and get the history of the Citadel and how that happened. They'll be able to go into Cité Soleil and kind of see what that is and see what that's all about. So that's one part of the experience. Another part of the experience is you could choose to have the Beach Chronicles experience. So if you choose that experience, then you go to the Earth and then you get involved in some of the battles that are happening and try to solve mysteries. There's an alley you can go down that then you can go and play a video game if you open a door and win some tokens that then you can use later for different things. And then you can go down the alley, go into another door and have an AR experience that happens in the real world that you can go and try to solve mysteries and, you know, get involved in battles and stuff like that. Then you can come back into that part of the Zataverse and utilize all the things that you've learned. So there's many different pockets and experiences that people will be able to have across our Zataverse is what we like to call it. It's more expansive than just a regular metaverse.
All right, so great. Okay, I understand that at the early stage, most of these experiences will be built by the core team, but is that going to change over time, or are there certain things that are only limited to the core teams?
You said the coding?
No, so the experience.
Oh, to the themes. No, yeah, it'll change over time because we're already talking to people. You know, there's companies that are already lined up that want to have.
I don't think you got the question. So the experiences you're building for your users, is it always going to be built by the core team, by you guys, or can anyone build an experience for other people to come experience?
Once you have your Xavatar, then then you'll be able to do whatever you want to do.
You'll be able to build. I think you're misunderstanding the question. I'll just reword that. Yeah. So on some of the other metaverse platforms like Decentraland or Sandbox, a user can come in and a user can build assets and upload assets, and they can build metaverses as such as well. So they can use the tool as a base layer to build on top of. And I think that's the question you're asking.
That's what I said.
Chris, yeah. Is that correct, Chris? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if the users can do that, or it's just the team.
No, that's what I said. You'll be able to build within our metaverse. So it's decentralized and centralized. It's both. Yeah, there'll be environments that you can build. You know, you'll be able to buy your own real estate. You'll be able to build your own, you know, kind of metaverse within our metaverse. Yeah. So.
All right. So lastly, I'm looking forward to the meeting. You guys told me about.
Great.
Yeah, I was the one that emailed you last week that promised a Zoom meeting this week. So
great, love it.
This is Chris that I connected you with, the from Nigeria, right, Chris?
Yeah, Nigeria.
Oh yeah, great. We're looking forward to it.
Mark, you have a question there as well then.
Very quick. I mean, it might be a little bit off topic, but I'm interested in the fact Stacey mentioned her background's in education, and you know, the metaverse is a great tool to bring all forms of education and collaboration across you know, countries and establishments, etc., etc. And you know, we've got Anna here doing her PhD, and I'm just wondering if you thought about the avenues of education and how your platform can be utilized throughout the you know, the diaspora of education. And secondly, Stacey, you mentioned about interns. I mean, what interns are you are you picking up or looking for? Who interests you? I mean, who are these people? Are they mechanical engineers? Are they electrical, computer, animation? Or are they physics and maths and things like this? I don't,
Well, actually, we started this conversation in Clubhouse about how there's so much talent at colleges and universities of aspiring. It could be engineers, it's musicians, actors, people that just really are excited about the future, and they need an opportunity to connect. And so we have various interns that a lot of them are interested in the creativity piece, whether it's social media, marketing. So that's one avenue. Then there's the technical audio editors, video editors. There's a lot of energy and excitement about what's with all the new technology. And, we even have opportunities if there was somebody who was wanting to do a grant. So we have kind of cast a wide net of being able to bring people who are interested in learning about the project, gaining skills. And as my brother and I were talking yesterday about this, for the interns that really are devoted, we've seen different levels of work ethics with, and that's part of just the sign of the times right now. But if there's the talent and the determination and the commitment, and they realize they're ambassadors for the Sync report, and they really want to learn and grow with the project, there's going to be opportunities for them in the future. And if they have another exciting opportunity, we want to champion them with if they have a different thing to that they're a different interest that they're looking at. But I think there's so many endless possibilities with how this can continue to grow. And that's where we're at right now. It's just looking at where we can kind of keep this momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I ask is, and it's very selfish, but my daughter's looking for internships, and she's looking at nuclear fusion and astrophysics. She's a physics student, but she's never considered something like that. I'm wondering how you guys can, how you get your message across to universities and higher educational establishments and open up that door. Other than me, on a personal level, but this is not the platform for that, because there's a lot of people out there who are very, very intelligent people, but they're also very creative, and they can think very much out of the box. And I'd love your platform to be able to open doors for students worldwide, and that in today's problems that we're having, I think getting people together is a way of releasing some of the tension that we have in our world.
Well,
I agree with you.
I was going to say I'll include my information in the chat. But what we're excited about, and what I love about Kevin and Jason, the ethos that they create, is they want students and interns to be able to enjoy and to have fun and to learn and to grow. And I encourage students that I've been talking to about internships, why don't you do 2 at the same time? You can do 10, 15 hours a week with us and also another endeavor, and just continue to see where, for each person, where the energy and the, where the excitement gets, where they're the most energized. And so, if anything, Jason, Kevin, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I can add to it. I mean, look, your question was not off topic and it wasn't off base. It's an excellent question. And so I can just give you a little bit more background on myself, and I'm going to brag on Jason too. So Jason, his career has really, really dovetailed into charity and working with outreach. And Jason, can talk a little bit more about some of the things that he's done. We would be here all day, all night in some cases. delving into these incredible things that Jason has done over time. My background is also in outreach and in nonprofit in a lot of ways. I do a lot of different things, but outreach is one of the bigger things, meaning we definitely want this to be a platform. I keep saying connectivity, and I agree with what you're saying, which is, when people are able to understand where other people are coming from, that changes the calculus of things. And so education is definitely a big part of what our outreach is all about. Like I said, there's some people that can't connect on an educational experience because of whatever reason, one reason or the other. Maybe some people are more visual learners. Well, this allows for that and it opens up for that. But I'm just going to mention, Jason talked about, with our NFTs, we have charities that are involved. So for our first drop, one of the charities is an organization that's suicide prevention. And so what we're going to do as we open up our Xavatarverse is, we'll have a representation of that organization on our Xavatarverse so people can come and connect in that forum. And if they are having issues, they can come and talk to someone in that forum. Because a lot of times, if you're talking on the phone, that's one thing. If you're doing it over Zoom, it's another thing. But if you can connect with someone, that changes the calculus. But it also opens it up for educational opportunities in a space that, is, more three-dimensional. So we've talked about different things like, I mentioned mental health services. So, being able to give people these opportunities to connect with their therapists and things like that in a real kind of, a virtual room. But also just imagine scientists from around the world being able to work on a problem together in a collaborative space. Or, for example, surgeons that can come in and they can work on a 3D problem in a 3D space. So we'd like to be the portal that allows for a lot of these opportunities to happen. I mean, of course, our first baseline had been, about the film and entertainment industry, but really our Xavatarverse, I said it's about connection. That connectivity goes across the spectrum because it's at the core of what I'm all about. And, Jason and I have had this conversation. It's at the core of, you could look at his career, you look at his CV and you can see, work in the UN. I'll let Jason kind of speak on his background, but, this kind of connectivity is what we're all about. So I'll have to tell you, Mark, that was an excellent question. And we'll be taking different types of interns as we move forward. Right now, Stacey has done a tremendous job in getting us the interns that we need for now, but certainly the door is going to be open for many different areas. We mentioned, definitely AI and ML is a big part of what we do. So as we move forward, there'll be more opportunities open.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Ok. No, era giusto per... A casa.
Oh, I can't seem to mute that. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mark. I think that was a brilliant question. And it was kind of why I was attracted to Clubhouse at first, because, I took that as, a really handy way for people to absorb knowledge as well as to network. And so we've built a nice relationship, and I alluded to this earlier, with Clubhouse because of our room and what we're doing there and the celebrities we're bringing in. And we're currently actually in talks with them about bringing their platform into our metaverse so that you're not just a circle picture, you're an avatar that can actually interact on a more immersive level. So yeah, I'm with Kevin on that education is vital. If you're not growing and learning, you're dying. So it doesn't matter what age you are, where you are in your life, we all should be learning and absorbing because that is the beauty of this life, and life is short. So let's learn as much as we can.
Well, sorry, I just interject quickly. With Clubhouse and putting somebody famous in front of an audience, with regard to education and documentary science and things like this, you got the Attenboroughs and the Professor El Khalilis and other well-known people whose stories could be told in your environment. and shared. So I see a world of possibilities.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is the fun thing about these type of conversations is, it opens, sparks ideas that perhaps we wouldn't be focused on because, that's not our world. We are, content creators, here to make you think, to make you laugh, to make you cry, to touch on different emotions. But yeah, interacting with someone like yourself makes us, take that, left turn that we might have missed on this highway.
Can I ask on that note, you guys, how you work with organizations? So as Paula well knows, we've built an online platform for those with cognitive difficulties. It's rewards based. So you earn crypto for engaging. And we have a lot of people with autism, dementia, learning disabilities. The question I've got is, we are about to launch a token to raise funds to enter the metaverse. But how do we do that? Are we just going to build a second layer in your metaverse, for example, or do we partner with you? Does one establish a formal relationship, or we just use your playing field? What is the nature of relationships?
And what you're doing. Yeah, I'll let Kevin respond to that, but that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it is. And so for me, this is something that really particularly touches me because, in my undergrad, my second major was psychology, and I focused on this particular area actually. And so I know, and this is what I was talking about in terms of connectivity. There's people that will be able to utilize this, that, it will help them in a lot of different ways. I have a friend, his name is Roger Walsh Williams. He did a documentary called Life Animated. He was nominated for an Academy Award for that documentary. I'll just make it really quick. So the documentary is this kid who he seemed normal until he was 5, and then he stopped communicating. And so when he was 7, the father saw that the kid was communicating to Disney characters. And so what he was able to do is, in the voice of the Disney characters, start to connect with his son, and the wife would then start to connect with the son, and they were able to bring him out of his shell. And then he became, he lives in his own apartment. It's in a community, but he's able to communicate because of those Disney characters. So I recommend Life Animated to anyone who kind of wants to see how transformative these things can be. And so Jason and I were on a call earlier today with someone that we may potentially bring into our Xavatarverse. And so the call was more about, how can we have a collaborative experience where that company brings what they have on the table into what we're doing, and we can utilize the tools that we have to have this full integration, so that it is thought about on both sides. In that particular area, certainly we want to connect and outreach, because like I said, it's about connectivity, and it's about those kind of opportunities. That's what I was just mentioning. People who may not traditionally, have in a space, on the level that, perhaps you and I are on, give them the ability and the opportunity to experience, some of the same things that we experience on a day-to-day level.
So that's what we call incentivize projects like yours. And we should definitely, maybe Paula can connect us and we can explore ways where we can help you with your goals.
That would be fantastic. I mean, I can't believe all the things you've been saying. For example, we have 13 people now with autism who work with us, and we teach them social media, how to benefit from the crypto world. And I've not seen the faces of any of them because they will not reveal their faces.
See, that's
so we talk on Zoom without. I mean, I have a wonderful time with them because, like you guys, I love having a laugh and they enjoy themselves. But they need what you're doing so badly. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine. This is funny because I was just talking about this same. My daughter is she's finishing her degree in psychology, and now she's going to the Peabody School in Vanderbilt for graduate studies. And so, I was on my Xavatar on a Zoom, and then I saw that my young daughter, she's 2, she started interacting with my Xavatar like it was a cartoon character. And so, these kind of possibilities are endless. And these are also the kind opportunities that we want to explore, because, what are you doing it for ultimately? I mean, Mark said it, I don't want to say, but we want to help to change the world ultimately, so it is that connectivity. It is ways for people then to be able to participate in that connectivity. And so, I can tell you, what you're talking about is music to my ears.
One of the keys for us is that the social impact that blockchain was all about originally doesn't get lost in a world of commercial gain. The key words you've mentioned are music, memories, and connectivity, and those are obviously fundamental in the world of mental health that we're involved in. But we believe that rewards are a key as well. And as long as you can generate rewards for communicating, engaging, then you've really got something that can be very powerful on a social impact front.
Well, what I'll do, Simon, is I'll make an introduction to you and the team, and you can go through that with them on your own at a different stage. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm quite conscious now. We've kept everybody well over time. It's 20 to 10. It's probably one of the longest that we've gone on, which shows the interest and the excitement. Jason, Kevin, and Stacey, thank you very, very much. It's been enlightening. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. It's been educational. It's been everything we could have asked for a meetup and for a fireside chat. So I'd like to thank you very, very much for coming on. We've made contact. We're in touch now. So I'll be letting the meetup group know of the upcoming drop of the NFTs and what's going on with that. So you'll all be in the loop. These are the first crypto community to know about them. It is quite exciting. The film industry, music industry are already aware of what they're going on, and the crypto community came last in this particular project, which in my eyes is kind of fantastic. I wish you guys the best of luck. I really do. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing. And on that, I'm going to stop the recording.